Hi, I'm Rosenberg. Welcome to my latest YouTube video and podcast. Today I'm going to talk about self-love deficit disorder and how it perpetuates in our own mind and creates the energy, the negative energy, the poisonous energy, the toxic energy to keep it going, to keep it alive, to keep it impacting your life, even if you don't want to and you try so hard to fight against it. Self-love deficit disorder, as I've said in my previous videos, requires a person to have core shame. This fundamental belief that they're just not lovable. They're just not likable. If they are themselves, people won't find them interesting, find them attractive, that people will be repelled from them. Self-love deficit disorder lives in your mind and in the voices you tell yourself. And that is the theme of this video, the voices you tell yourself. Sometimes I call them a story I tell myself. At the very worst times of my life, when self-love deficit disorder ravished it, made being with pathological narcissists seem like the only way to find love, created moments of my life where I just doubted myself. I didn't believe in myself. Required me to put on a fake smile, to show fake happiness, to try to prove to people I was likable and lovable. SLDD was unshakable because of the voices in my head. And those voices are the sounds of the person in my childhood, in my family of origin, that said, you aren't lovable. You aren't naturally likable. We mistake those voices as our own. If you grew up in a family where you were not unconditionally loved, like in my family, there wasn't verbal abuse. I was not berated. I was not called names. I wasn't treated actively, directly, with malice. But in my family of origin, with my pathologically narcissistic parent and codependent parent, I wasn't noticed. People didn't notice anything positive. Therefore, to the world, there wasn't much about me. My parents never complimented me. They didn't actually notice much about me. And I've done a video on this before about how self-love deficit disorder is created by attachment trauma, by not what was done, but by the absence of what should have been done. In my case, and probably in the case of yours, is by the absence of unconditional love, by the absence of compliments, by the absence of just interest, by the absence of curiosity, by the absence of just a person enjoying their time with you or with me as a child. And so if you grew up in an environment where you were just invisible, where you went to school and got good grades and no one noticed, and if you got C's or B's or even A's, no one said you were smart, no one said you were dumb. There just wasn't anything said. So then the story in your head is, I must not be smart. I must be stupid. If people aren't saying they love me and they cherish me for who I am, I must be unlovable, is the voice in my head. And what we do as children, teenagers, adolescents, and so forth and so on, is we continue to tell that story to ourselves and we make ourselves prove it. If we believe no one loves us, no one likes us, and we're not popular in school, it's often because we don't fight it, we succumb to it. Of course, no child wants to be bullied. No child wants to be ridiculed. No teenager wants to be unpopular. But with that core shame, we believe it so deeply. The bullies in the world, they can read it, they can smell it, they can pick up on it. And that's the saddest thing of all. Whether you are a codependent or an SLD and you just fell in love with a narcissist and that narcissist is abusive, neglectful, aggressive, disrespectful, they can smell your insecurity. That is part of the pull of the human magnet syndrome, the attraction between codependents and narcissists. The narcissist doesn't want someone to hurt. In the beginning, they want someone to love, someone that feels comfortable and safe. And the SLD, the person who's self-love deficient, they want the same, someone who feels comfortable and safe. And so they're looking for love. But in a relationship between an SLD and a narcissist, the narcissist is going to take advantage of the SLD's weaknesses and start to make the relationship about themselves. They're going to start to control it. They're going to be either passively controlling or actively controlling, covertly controlling. It's going to be about them. It's as if they need all the oxygen in the room. And if you're an SLD and you have self-love deficiency, you have poor self-esteem, your self-concept is underdeveloped, you came from a family that had already indoctrinated or inculcated your mind with these messages. You're not lovable. You're not likable. There's something wrong. And those messages over time became the messages you tell yourself. And that is a part of the gaslighting that I've talked about in my books and in previous videos. If you're an SLD, it means you experienced attachment trauma. And it means that you were harmed by the narcissistic parent in your life. And if you don't love yourself, you probably have a lot of stories in your mind about why you're unlovable. And these stories are misidentified as yours. They're not. So when you sit at home feeling like no one likes you, no one loves you, no one appreciates you, no one sees you, and you beat yourself up about it, those voices in your head were once words spoken to you, whether by direct communication or indirect communication. And it created the foundation of your core shame. If you feel stuck in painful relationship patterns, you're not alone. I've already helped thousands break free from what I call self-love deficit disorder and how to finally choose self-love over the insanity you create for yourselves. Work with me. My psychotherapy can help. As I've talked about before, to understand a self-love deficit disorder, you have to look at the SLDD pyramid. It's at the bottom is attachment trauma, then there's core shame, then there's pathological loneliness, and then there's this addiction to have a relationship to make the pathological loneliness go away. And then at the very top of the pyramid, the behaviors and the traits that make a person seem codependent or self-love deficient. If we can identify all of the negative things we tell ourselves, all the times we prove to ourselves all the time why people shouldn't like us. It's not that SLDs want to be hurt, want to be ignored, want negative people, harmful people in their lives. Absolutely not. It's the human magnet syndrome. It's the lack of self-esteem, the lack of self-love. It invites people who need to exploit them in order to feel better about themselves. Human magnet syndrome, matching up of the narcissist and the codependent, or SLD. For the narcissist to have what they believe is self-esteem, which is impossible, they need to take away any self-esteem, any self-love. And when what they say or do to us matches the voices we have in our head, the beliefs we have, the messages we tell ourselves, it then becomes a potent combination of dysfunction and toxicity. There are so many times in my life where I felt alone, disconnected, when I was around people, where I was convinced that I wasn't likable, that people actually didn't respect me. And I noticed by the end of the evening in any specific social event, I was kind of on the fringes. I wasn't really involved, and I would leave feeling even worse about myself. And it took me a while to realize I am responsible for the voices in my head that tell me I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy of respect, caring, trust, and protection. That these voices in my head have to be eliminated. They have to be removed. And how we do that is to first understand that they were put inside our head. They are not us. Our self-love deficiency, the voices that support it, they did not come from us originally. We came into this world as a beautiful, perfect little baby, and we didn't get anyone to tell us that. We didn't get anyone to show us that. What we got instead, from a very early age, is proof for why we're not lovable. Over and over again, proof. Whether it is the narcissistic mother, if they're married, the codependent father. See, codependent parents, they don't hurt us nearly as bad as narcissistic parents, but they don't stand up and silence the narcissist. They can't. They're too afraid. So they can't protect us in the way that we deserve to be protected. So I am pretty sure that if you're an SLD, you have self-love deficit disorder, you have these voices in your head too, where you have these predictions that things are not going to go right. You're not going to find the person of your dreams. You're not going to make new friends. Before you can expect the opposite to happen, you have to identify whose voice is that. Is it yours Well, naturally, if it's in your mind, you got to take responsibility. And anyone who follows me knows I advocate for self-responsibility. And if you blame your problems on everyone else, even the people that deserve the blame, like the narcissists in your life, it might make you feel better, but there's no way that it helps you remove yourself from these relationships or stop yourself from being attracted to someone who's going to be just like them in the next relationship. We have to tell ourselves these stories, these voices, they're not true. It's not easy to do that. At the worst times, I'm suggesting to you that you stop and you ask yourself, what are these messages I keep telling myself? No one likes me. I'm not interesting. I'm not attractive. I'm boring. I'm annoying. I'm too skinny. I'm too fat. I'm too short. I'm too tall. Any of the constant negative thoughts you tell yourself that you hear, the voices, we have to stop the voices. And if the best we can do is just stop them, that's progress. If we can then look to our environment and let the environment show us who we are, not the voices prove to us who we have been. Because if the best we can do is to shut the voices down and not keep believing in the story of what's wrong with us, the story that justifies our pain, justifies our alienation, justifies why we're suffering, we're not going to escape it. So I'm asking you to identify the voices, write down the messages, make a big list of them. When the time is right to go back to that list, and then ask yourself, when did you first hear someone say that to you? Not when you started to say it to yourself. Ask yourself, who says that to me now? Ask yourself, why does the people that, or the persons who tell it to you now, whether it's direct or indirect, how does it benefit them from me believing in it? These are very important questions, so I hope you're writing these down. Then I want you to write on a different column the opposite of what that voice says. I'm not interesting. Well, the opposite is I could be interesting. I have a lot of stories to tell. I'm ugly. Well, maybe I'm attractive. The way that I look is unique, and someone who loves me is going to find that attractive. Just the opposite of every one of those voices. You have to create another story for you to believe in, another story for you to embrace, because we are in charge of the future of our SLDD. There's not going to be a therapist that's going to rescue us. I'm not going to rescue you. I'd like to help you though. We have to be at the forefront. We have to be the person who is going to fight and is going to wage a battle against the most vicious and pernicious enemy of all. And that is the stories in our mind, the voices in our heads that keep proving our self-love deficit disorder. If we are going to experience self-love abundance, if we are going to vanquish pathological loneliness and instead experience pathological peace and calm, if we're going to finally end the core shame and see that manifest as core self-love, if we're going to somehow heal from the attachment trauma and integrate those terrible memories so that we can finally figure a way to let them go and experience the full force of self-love, it's rapturous. Now, I don't want to compare self-love abundance with God. I don't want to compare self-love abundance with religion. But what I do want to compare is to embrace and live and embody self-love. It is a feeling of peace, of inner tranquility. It's a feeling that the fight is over and you just get to be yourself. Now, life is difficult still. there's no happiness over the rainbow here. No, life is difficult. You could have challenges, but these challenges aren't embedded with the negative stories you tell yourself, the words and the phrases that you keep smashing yourself over and cutting yourself with. The people that once didn't love you, the people that couldn't see the beauty inside of you, the people that could not embrace why you are important. They put the opposite in your head and you made you believe it. And then you became the person who trumpets out loud, who sings out loud the poisonous, toxic messages of your youth. You can stop it. But the first very important step is to understand where it starts, where it comes from, and how to neutralize it. And that is this very important instruction in this video, is to understand that you have been gaslit. These false truths, these narratives that are negative, that disparage you, that make you look bad, the ones that you believe, the ones that you don't want to believe, but somehow you keep making happen. You have to take responsibility for these. There's no one that's going to lead you out of this. You have to be brave enough, courageous enough to fight for self-love abundance and fight against this war, this torrent of negativity that you keep putting on yourself, and this self-love deficiency, self-fulfilling prophecy. No one will love me because I am this or I am not that. I will never find a person who likes me or friend because I'm this or I'm that. Keep telling yourself that. You're going to make it happen. We shut down the voices. We change the story when we realize they're not us. We have been mistaking ourselves for what someone once told us that we were forced into believing, and then it became our belief system. Start with telling yourself the truth now. I am not what the voice told me. I am what you always wanted to be. It might still take time for you to learn about how to make friends and fit in to new communities. And I can talk about those later in videos. You certainly can get my help in psychotherapy and my self-love recovery program. You can get some of the videos that I have and the audio seminars I have online at selfloverecovery.com. But it starts with a commitment to vanquish the voices and find self-love in the here and present. Because if you can shut them down and you can prove that they're false, what are you left with? The worst case scenario, you are left in a neutral state of not being sure you love yourself, not being sure you're a bad person. But it's that state that is a fertile environment from which these kernels of self-love sprout and grow and manifest. I hope this video or this podcast was helpful, and I hope that it inspires you. Stop being a part of your own self-destruction. Stop believing in the voices in your head. Understanding the stories you tell yourself were never yours to begin with. I believe in you. You can do it. If you like more help from me, or if you would like to explore this more, don't hesitate. Shoot me an email at help@selfloverecovery.com. Thank you for taking the time to check out what I have to say. Goodbye. If you feel stuck in painful relationship patterns, you're not alone. I've already helped thousands break free from what I call self-love deficit disorder, and how to finally choose self-love over the insanity you create for yourselves. Work with me. My psychotherapy can help.